It is my view that the deceitful way the interview was obtained substantially influenced what my mother said. The interview was a major contribution to making my parents' relationship worse and has since hurt countless others. She's achieved, and it's quite a moment for her.
There's one question that royal reporters keep circling back to, and it's the question the palace never ever answers directly. What actually happens to Queen Camilla the day King Charles's reign ends? Because here's the uncomfortable truth that commentators have been pointing out for years. Every ounce of Camilla's position, her title, her staff, her entire place inside that institution flows through one man. And the man who inherits everything after him has spent more than 2 decades being noticeably, carefully, almost surgically quiet about her. Prince William praises his father constantly. He talks about his late grandmother with real warmth. And when it comes to his stepmother, royal watchers have noticed something strange, a silence so consistent it starts to feel deliberate. And according to several royal biographers, that silence isn't an accident. It's the visible edge of a relationship that has reportedly never fully healed. Stay with me, because when you line up what's actually been published, the memoir claims, the title controversy, the reporting around the king's health, a picture emerges that the official photographs work very hard to hide. And if you follow this channel for royal analysis like this, take a second to subscribe, because this story is still unfolding and we're tracking every development. So let's start where royal commentators usually start, with 2 boys who lost their mother and the woman they blamed for the unhappiness that came before. Now, to be clear, what we know about William's early relationship with Camilla comes mostly from reporting, and from one extremely controversial source, which is Prince Harry's memoir. And Harry's account is his account. William has never confirmed it, and the palace has never engaged with it. But what Harry claimed was extraordinary. He wrote that he and William both asked their father not to marry Camilla. Think about that for a second. According to Harry's own book, the 2 princes reportedly went to Charles and pleaded with him. Not complained privately, not sulked, asked him directly. Harry also described Camilla as dangerous, his word, because of what he characterized as her connections to the British press, and he accused her camp of trading stories to rehabilitate her image. Again, these are Harry's allegations, strongly disputed and never substantiated with documents or named sources. But here's why commentators keep coming back to them. Harry wrote that William shared those concerns at the time, and William, who has publicly disputed almost nothing and said almost nothing, has never once pushed back on that specific claim, royal watchers noticed. When your brother publishes a book saying you begged your father not to marry your stepmother and your response is total silence, people are going to read into that silence. Whether they're right to is another question, but the silence is real and it's on the record. Now here's where the story picks up something heavier than childhood resentment, because the next chapter isn't about feelings, it's about titles. And in the royal family, titles are power. For years, the official line was that Camilla would never be called queen. When she married Charles in 2005, the palace said she would be known as Princess Consort when he took the throne. That was the public promise, the compromise designed to calm a country that at the time largely hadn't forgiven her for her role in the collapse of Charles's first marriage. And then, in February 2022, Queen Elizabeth changed everything with a single sentence. In her Platinum Jubilee message, she said it was her sincere wish that Camilla be known as Queen Consort when the time came. One sentence from the late Queen, and 2 decades of careful positioning evaporated overnight. By the coronation in May 2023, even the word consort had quietly fallen away. The invitations said Queen Camilla, full stop. And according to multiple royal commentators at the time, that progression, Princess Consort, then Queen Consort, then simply Queen, did not sit comfortably with everyone inside the family. Reports in the British press claimed William was, at minimum, ambivalent about it. Some biographers went further, describing the Prince of Wales as reportedly frustrated that a promise made to the public had been steadily rewritten. None of this has ever been confirmed by Kensington Palace, and it's worth saying that plainly. But ask yourself this: when the coronation happened, whose family was seated prominently at Westminster Abbey? Camilla's children and grandchildren had visible roles. Her grandsons served as pages of honor. For royal traditionalists, that was a startling sight, and columnists said so openly at the time. A woman once considered so controversial she might never be crowned was now at the center of the ceremony, with her own family woven into it. That's not a rumor. That happened on live television. And here's where it gets interesting, because around this same period, royal biographers started publishing claims about how William actually viewed Camilla's growing footprint. The author, Christopher Anderson, in his reporting on the king, claimed there was long-running tension between William and his stepmother, that the relationship was civil in public and cold underneath. Other royal writers have described what they call Camilla's circle, her sister Annabel Elliot, her longtime friends, her own children, becoming a genuine presence around the king. And some of that is simply documented fact. Annabel Elliot's interior design work for royal residences and duchy properties was reported years ago and confirmed in official accounts. Camilla's son, Tom Parker Bowles, has spoken publicly about the family's place in this new era. None of that is scandalous on its own. People bring their families with them. But commentators have pointed out the structural reality underneath it. An entire ecosystem now exists inside the institution, whose relevance depends on one person, and that person is not the future king. Every one of those relationships, every role, every invitation is anchored to Charles's reign and to Charles alone, and reigns, as this family knows better than anyone, do not last forever. Which brings us to the moment that made this question urgent instead of theoretical. In February 2024, Buckingham Palace announced that the king had been diagnosed with cancer, and in the strange months that followed, the public got a live demonstration of exactly the dynamic we're talking about. With Charles stepping back from public duties and the Princess of Wales facing her own health battle, Camilla suddenly became the most visible senior royal in the country. Week after week, she carried engagements, represented the crown, stood in the spotlight essentially alone. Some commentators praised her stamina and loyalty. Genuinely, a 70-something consort holding the public face of the monarchy together. But others asked a sharper question. Where was the coordination between her household and William's? Because observers noted that Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace often seemed to operate as two entirely separate worlds, with separate staff, separate priorities, and, reportedly, minimal warmth between them. When Charles returned to duties, the commentary shifted again, this time to how visibly the king began pairing himself with William. Joint appearances, the handover of senior military roles, including Charles personally passing William the colonelcy of the Army Air Corps, photographs framed around father and son, monarch and heir. Royal analysts described it as succession planning happening in plain sight, and notice who that framing quietly leaves out. In the imagery of the monarchy's future, there is Charles, there is William, there is George. Camilla appears beside the king in the present tense, and only in the present tense. So now connect the dots, because this is where individually small details start forming a bigger picture. A memoir alleging the heir opposed the marriage from the start, met with total silence instead of denial. A title that migrated from impossible to official over 20 years, reportedly without enthusiasm from Kensington Palace. A circle of family and friends whose entire standing depends on one aging monarch, two royal households that observers describe as parallel operations rather than partners, and a succession plan being showcased that centers the bloodline and nobody else. No single item on that list proves anything. Every single one has an innocent explanation, and honestly, the innocent explanation might even be the true one. But royal history teaches us that institutions telegraph their intentions long before they announce them. And what's being telegraphed, according to the commentators who watch this family for a living, is that Camilla's queenship is a life interest in someone else's estate. The moment the reign ends, there is no defined role waiting for her. There's precedent for a widowed queen. Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, spent 50 years as a beloved national figure, but she was the mother of the monarch. Camilla would be the stepmother of the monarch, a monarch who has reportedly never been close to her. In a court he would control completely. The funding, the residences, the titles, the invitations, all of it, whatever William privately feels about his stepmother, and we genuinely don't know, he would hold every card, every single one. And maybe that's the real story hiding under all the palace politeness. Not a scandal, not a confrontation, nothing dramatic enough for a headline, just a quiet structural truth that everyone involved understands and nobody says out loud. Camilla spent decades climbing toward acceptance against odds that would have broken most people, and she reached the summit, crowned, anointed, queen. But the summit sits on ground she doesn't own. Royal commentators have speculated about graceful retirements, about Ray Millhouse, her private home that she has always kept, and plenty of observers think the fact that she kept it tells you she's always understood exactly how this ends. To be absolutely clear, all of this is analysis and informed speculation built on published reporting, memoir claims, and expert commentary. The palace confirms none of it, and the private reality may be far warmer than the public record suggests. But the question stands, and it's getting closer every year. When the second Carolean age ends, does the House of Windsor keep a place for the woman who defined it, or does the door close as quietly as it opened? Tell me what you think happens in the comments, because this is one royal story where the ending hasn't been written yet. And if you want the next chapter as it develops, you know where the subscribe button is.